The wind howled. It moaned through the trees like a mournful cry. Leaves swirled dry and brittle, scratching against the old house on the hill. A shiver ran down my spine and I pulled my jacket tighter. This town was creepy. My family had just moved to Oakhaven, a place whispered to hold secrets, secrets that went bump in the night. I didn't believe in ghosts, not really, but something about this town made my skin crawl. My name is Max. I'm 12, and starting at a new school is bad enough. But starting at a new school in a town famous for its ghost stories, that's a nightmare. Everyone at school had a story about the old house on Willow Creek Lane. The house with the boarded-up windows and the overgrown lawn, the house nobody dared to approach. "Stay away from there," they'd say, their eyes wide with fear. "It's haunted." I tried to shrug it off, but their warnings stuck with me. Haunted house or not, I was determined to prove I wasn't scared. One crisp autumn afternoon, I found myself drawn to Willow Creek Lane. The wind seemed to whisper my name, urging me closer. The old house loomed before me, its paint peeling like scabs. The porch sagged, and the windows were like vacant eyes, staring out at the world. I took a hesitant step onto the overgrown lawn. The air grew colder, and the hairs on the back of my neck stood on end. What was I doing here? This was crazy. But something compelled me forward. The front door creaked open as if inviting me inside. "Don't be ridiculous," I told myself. "It's just the wind." But my heart pounded in my chest. I took a deep breath and stepped inside. The air was thick with the smell of dust and decay. Cobwebs hung from every corner, and the only light came from the slivers of sun that pierced through the cracks in the boarded-up windows. I heard a noise, a soft whisper like someone sighing right next to my ear. I spun around, but there was nothing there, just shadows dancing in the dim light. I ventured deeper into the house, each step echoing in the silence. The air was thick with dust, and the smell of old wood and forgotten memories filled my nostrils. The house seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting for something to happen. I found myself at the foot of a rickety staircase. The wood groaned under my weight as I ascended, each step more precarious than the last. The dim light barely illuminated the way, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The attic door was slightly ajar, a sliver of darkness beckoning me. It felt as though the attic itself was inviting me in, whispering secrets from the past. Curiosity got the better of me, and I slowly pushed it open. The door creaked loudly, breaking the silence and sending a shiver down my spine. I hesitated for a moment, then stepped inside. The attic was dark and dusty, filled with forgotten furniture and boxes piled high. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling like ghostly drapes, and the air was thick with the scent of decay. It was a place frozen in time, untouched for years. As I made my way through the clutter, I stumbled upon an old wooden chest tucked under a dusty window. The chest was covered in a thick layer of dust, and it looked like it hadn't been opened in decades. I lifted the heavy lid, my hands trembling with anticipation. The hinges protested, but eventually gave way, revealing the contents inside. Inside, I found a leather-bound diary, its pages yellowed with age. The cover was worn, but the diary seemed to hold a certain significance, as if it had been waiting for someone to discover it. The first page bore a name written in elegant cursive: Sarah. The ink was faded, but the name was still legible, hinting at the stories contained within. I began to read, my heart pounding with a strange mix of fear and excitement. Each word seemed to draw me deeper into Sarah's world, a world filled with mystery and intrigue. The diary was more than just a collection of memories. It was a portal to the past, and I was eager to uncover its secrets. Sarah's diary told a tale of loneliness and fear. She had lived in this house 100 years ago, a young girl trapped in a world of shadows and whispers. She wrote of strange occurrences, cold spots, and disembodied voices. She wrote of a presence in the house, something unseen but always felt. As I turned the pages, I realized with a growing sense of dread that Sarah's story was not merely a work of fiction. It was a warning. Suddenly, a cold gust of wind slammed the attic door shut. I jumped, my heart racing. I tried the handle, but it wouldn't budge. I was trapped. Panic surged through me. I banged on the door, but it was no use. I was alone in the dark, with Sarah's words echoing in my mind. Then I heard it, the soft whisper again, closer this time, a cold breath on the back of my neck. "Get out!" it hissed. "Get out now!" I spun around, my eyes wide with terror. The darkness seemed to close in on me, suffocating and oppressive. Every shadow felt like it was alive, moving closer, threatening to engulf me. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat echoing in the silence of the room. Standing in the dim light, I saw her. She was just a silhouette at first, a shadowy figure that seemed to blend into the darkness. But as my eyes adjusted, her form became clearer, more defined, a young girl with sad eyes and a flowing white dress. Her eyes were pools of sorrow, deep and haunting. She looked so out of place, so ethereal, like a ghost from another time. Sarah. I wanted to scream, to run, but my legs felt like lead. It was as if the fear had rooted me to the spot, paralyzing me. My mind raced, trying to make sense of what I was seeing, but nothing made sense. She looked at me, her expression mournful. There was a sadness in her eyes that seemed to speak of untold stories, of pain and loss. It was a look that pierced through me, making my heart ache. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. Her voice was soft, almost a breath, but it carried a weight that made my blood run cold. It was a warning, a plea and a command all at once. "This house, it's not safe." Her words hung in the air, heavy and foreboding. The walls seemed to close in, the shadows growing darker, more menacing. I felt a chill run down my spine, and then, as quickly as she appeared, she was gone. One moment she was there, and the next she had vanished into the shadows. It was as if she had never been there at all, a figment of my imagination. The attic door creaked open, as if nothing had happened. The sound was jarring, breaking the silence that had settled after her disappearance. It was a reminder that I was still in that house, still in danger. I didn't hesitate. I raced out of the attic, down the stairs and out of the house. My heart was pounding, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I didn't look back, afraid of what I might see if I did. I didn't stop running until I reached the safety of my own home. Even then, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, of the shadows closing in. The memory of her sad eyes haunted me, a reminder of the fear I had faced and the mystery that remained unsolved. That night, I lay in bed, unable to shake the image of Sarah's sad eyes from my mind. Her eyes, so full of sorrow and longing, haunted me more than any ghost ever could. I couldn't help but wonder about the life she had lived, the dreams she had once had, and the events that had led her to this tragic fate. I knew then that the stories were true. The whispers in the town, the hushed conversations about the haunted house on Willow Creek Lane, they all made sense now. It wasn't just a tale to scare children, it was a reality that I had come face to face with. The house on Willow Creek Lane was haunted, but it wasn't the kind of haunting that sent shivers down your spine or made you want to run away. It was a haunting filled with melancholy and a deep sense of loss. The house itself seemed to breathe with the weight of the past, its walls echoing with memories long forgotten. But it wasn't a place of evil. No, it was a place of sorrow, a place where a lonely spirit lingered. Sarah's presence was palpable, her sadness almost tangible. It was as if the very air in the house was heavy with her grief, and I could feel it pressing down on me. It was a place of sorrow, a place where a lonely spirit lingered. Sarah's story was one of heartbreak and unfulfilled dreams. She had been a young girl with hopes and aspirations, but something had gone terribly wrong. Now she was trapped in this spectral existence, unable to move on. As I drifted off to sleep, I thought I heard it again, the sound of a young girl's laughter, faint and distant, carried on the wind. It was a haunting melody filled with both innocence and sadness. It was as if Sarah was trying to reach out, to make a connection, to be remembered. The sound of a young girl's laughter, faint and distant, carried on the wind. It was a reminder of the life that had been lost, of the joy that had been taken away. And for the first time, it didn't frighten me. It saddened me. I felt a deep sense of empathy for Sarah, for the life she had been denied. And for the first time, it didn't frighten me. It saddened me. I realized that Sarah wasn't a malevolent spirit. She was a lost soul, yearning for connection, for someone to understand her pain. Her laughter was a cry for help, a plea for someone to acknowledge her existence. Sarah was still there, trapped in her ghostly existence. But maybe, just maybe, my visit had given her some measure of peace. Perhaps knowing that someone had seen her, had felt her sorrow, had understood her plight, had brought her a small sense of comfort. But maybe, just maybe, my visit had given her some measure of peace. Or maybe that was just me, hoping for a less scary ending. I wanted to believe that my presence had made a difference, that I had somehow eased her suffering, even if just a little. Or maybe that was just me, hoping for a less scary ending. As I lay there drifting off to sleep, I couldn't help but hope that Sarah had found some solace, that her laughter was a sign that she was no longer alone. And in that moment, I felt a sense of peace too, knowing that I had been a part of her story, even if just for a brief moment.